Hello everyone and welcome to punklottopod, the game where no one wins. I'm your co-host Justin Hensley.
I'm your other co-host Dylan Hensley.
And this is the show where using a random number generator and the Rate Your Music charts, we pick one EP and one album to discuss. This is our first regular episode of 2019 after our two best of episodes.
Happy New Year!
And all acquaintance be forgot.
You there, boy in the street. Jeez.
That's Christmas. So I hope everyone's New Year is going better than mine right now. As we record this, I just got back from the urgent care, and I may potentially have a torn meniscus.
Meniscus.
A viscous meniscus.
That's, yeah, I had to look up the meniscus, and that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I thought it was tendinitis based on the description, of what I was looking up originally, why my knee was swollen and painful for a month and a half. They're like, tendinitis. And then I looked up the description of a torn meniscus, and I was like, oh no, that's exactly what it is. It's because it's like it hurts the most on a side, and then when you try and outstretch it, that's what it, oh, okay, yep, that's it. That's what it is. Fortunately, the urgent care guy I went to said it didn't show up on his imaging, so it may not be a severe tear, so I shouldn't need surgery for it. But I'm going to have to go get an MRI done with a specialist. So that's going to cost too much. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, my year's off to a weird start. Just, yeah. January's bringing out all the freaks in Phoenix. I mean, to begin with, it is really cold. Like, it's in the 30s today.
It's like in the 50s here.
I mean, it's probably up in the 40s by now, but yeah, this morning it was awful.
I have Antarctica pulled up.
People were coming through our drive-thru with literally ice on their vehicles. I'm like, this is just weird. This doesn't feel right at all. But yeah, I got some responses to my ad looking for bandmates, and so I got one guy who wanted to jam. He was a drummer. He lives up in North Glendale, which I was like, that's kind of far, but all right, it's worth it if he's good, if it'll work out. It's worth finding out. So the day that we're supposed to jam, I get off work. I text him, say, hey, I'm heading your way. What's the address?
I don't like to give that out.
He didn't give it to me. He didn't answer me right away, so I was just like, well, I'll just give him a few minutes, see if he responds. I'll start going that way. I get almost all the way to his cross streets, and he finally texts me, and he's like, sorry, I just got off work. I didn't have my phone. Here's the address. My bad. Please come, lol. So I pull up to his dude's house. It's in the suburbs. He, clearly lives with his parents, which is fine.
Ain't no shame in that.
Youngish guy. I mean, early 20s. So we get in there, and he's just there's just no rapport. Just off the bat, we're not building any rapport at all. We don't really speak the same language as musicians or anything like that. He's just like, yeah, so it's weird. Strangers. Like, yep, it's weird to play music with strangers. And he just kept, I played him a couple songs. We tried to play through maybe some of the faster punk stuff. He asked me, what would you call that sound? And I'm like, punk? Maybe post-punk? Yeah. And he just kept, saying just these weird things, man, what did he say? It was something like, yeah, who's to say? Who says? Who says what is? He just kept saying that. I guess he was just, trying to figure out who's the leader. Oh. And I really just wanted to say, I say. I say what is. I wrote the songs. And Yeah, so he's just like a stoner, just clearly a stoner who wanted to play like weird psychedelic stuff. He showed me this video of this girl he was talking to who's like a guitarist and a singer, and he's like, and it's just like her just like strumming on her guitar and singing, and it's just like a shitty little video on his cell phone, and I'm like, all right. Not what I'm looking for. And so he wanted to like jam, and he told me he likes to write from the drums.
What?
And I'm just like, that doesn't work. So he just played me these like little drum beats, and I'm just like bullshitting funk riffs, and like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't. So yeah, it didn't really go well. He said he likes darker tones. And
so did he even read your
no clearly
ad?
Clearly not. Yeah, just which is a thing.
Yeah.
People just respond, and they clearly don't know. They'll text you and be like, so, like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, I said it all in the ad. My ad is too long. Which is maybe part of the problem. They're like, words, ugh.
TLDR.
So, yeah, I don't, I think the feeling was mutual. Because he said something to the effect of, like, I don't really get the punk stuff. Like, fast stuff. I'm like, well, this isn't gonna work. Like, not everything I have written is fast, but enough of it is.
I don't know. What did he want to play? Psych rock,
which is,
ugh.
I think, is what his other bands are. Which the stuff I heard, I got maybe more like just like a fuzzy indie thing, but I don't know. I think he just wants to play psychedelic music.
Gross.
Yeah. And then today.
You got another one?
Oh, yes. This is the best one, and this one's a little long, so bear with me, but it's incredible. This dude emails me. First thing I see is an attachment that says, "Put your dick in me, Jesus."
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm a ... definitely punk level proficiency, guitarist, amateur trained pianist, okay bassist. I do 'em all a little, you know. I've written 2 songs I'm very proud of. One of them is called Put Your Dick in Me, Jesus. Okay, first of all, you've written only 2 songs that you're proud of? Motherfucker, I have like over 20 songs that I'm proud of. Second of all, you named your song Put Your Dick in Me, Jesus?
I already know what kind of dumb band he is in, or wants to be in.
Yeah. The other is called We Will Fuck Him, which is
Jesus.
a piano ballad about beating up God if we see him on our block with a gangster feel. Both were inspired by an attempt to make a guitar part for a Christian rock song. I didn't want to take it seriously, so I made a, you know?
What?
I don't feel limited there, but a newspaper I worked for had this editor, and she said half of everything he writes is genius, and the other half just makes you think he'll come up with something better next week. I am alright with criticism, but I expect creative people to make it work, and make my idea cool, or just give me the reins Brian Wilson style, and trust me to do my idea right. But I want to cooperate and make good songs, and while I do have hits, I have misses too. I want criticism that helps me grow, and I hope to give that too. We all might have big egos, but the first goal is to serve the music. Fortunately, we get to write it. ... though... ... Alright. So because Put Your Dick in Me, Jesus is the kind of thing I write, I feel you should know instantly what kind of punk I would be in your group. It's the way I roll. I really want to perform that song, but at the open mics, I am paranoid some fundy is going to shoot me. Also, I feel it's developing still. I am driven and inspired to write very consistently. If I am mocking or satirizing something, I am political, very far left, and I think it might be cool to make music that inspires the working class. Like Rage Against the Machine. I like to think I'm pretty nerdy and intellectual. There's that too. Also, I have a 4-octave vocal range.
What?
Something you should probably lead with.
Yeah. That's like the...
Like, that's your thing.
Yeah.
You do that.
Not I can play a little piano.
I go from the low E2 on the guitar on a good day, which is lower than I can go actually, though maybe just F sharp, pretty solid, to the soprano B6, which is the 20th fret on the high E string, though it gets a little harder after E5. I switch from chesty baritone voice to my mixy head voice around D3, which is endlessly embarrassing to me.
So, wait, this guy actually knows stuff about music.
Right, like he actually knows his vocal range. He knows the note positions. I like to belt above that, and I'm still learning how to do it without any strain, but it's an uphill battle. I take voice lessons and stuff. I don't know if that helps or not. I can kind of growl and get grunge, and I sort of fry my vocals, but I'm not worried about losing a lot of range because I have stretchy vocal folds, I guess, and I'll never have to sing a B6 in my life. For reference, the Dream On screen is a G sharp. Oh, I can read music if that helps.
What?
Also, I should be honest and say there may be some issues. This is where it jumps the shark.
Oh, God. Really?
Yeah.
This dude's like burying the lead, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
There may be some issues with practicing here for a month from January 22nd to February 21st. I will be in jail for disorderly conduct. I am guilty, obviously, of being quite disorderly. But no one was hurt, whatever, you pigs, all caps in parentheses.
They're not reading that email.
I like drugs, but I feel I have a healthy relationship with them, outside of them being expensive and me being broke. I take a few orange bottle medications, and I take them consistently. Otherwise, I have a medical marijuana card, and I love psychedelics. Acid is a discreet thing, and I don't see myself getting caught. I don't see myself doing heroin or meth, but I'm definitely not in the straight edge camp. No shit. Though no disrespect to those who are. I don't like to be high when I play, though, because some of the cool ideas might be useful sober, but a lot of them are just cool to people already whacked out of their minds. Which, I don't know, I guess there's something useful there. I'm just real ADHD, and I can zone out easy if I'm too stoned.
Why? So why is he writing you the infinite jest in an email form? Like, this is like a novel.
Drugs, man.
I just don't see myself doing heroin, but, I'm not like straight edge or anything.
Okay, we're almost there. I like sex and rock and roll also. It is one of my bucket list items to have groupies for some period in life. This is the minimum requirement here.
What? What?
I got a lot of musician friends, but they charge to play gigs with you.
That means they don't like you.
Yeah. I got one drummer friend who's chill as fuck and wouldn't mind drumming for you. I really just want to get his drummer friend's number.
Because if he's charging him to play with him, that means he might be decent.
Anyway, if this sounds like your area, tell me about yourself. Give me some demo tapes, brag about your gear. Or just tell me to fuck off or something because you love Jesus? I don't know, man. Either way, hail Satan and rock and roll. Here's the lyrics to put your dick in me, Jesus, to prove I am a serious songwriter. If you steal them, I cannot guarantee gangster shit will not go down. Hail Satan.
Well, are these lyrics good enough to steal?
I'm not going to find out.
Oh, you didn't even look at them?
Nope. Not opening that attachment.
No, you don't know what's in there. If he couldn't just copy and paste those lyrics into the email...
Yeah.
No, I'm not opening any attachments from strangers.
All right. And here's the postscript. Though I am saying hail Satan a lot, I just mean it for the ironic, immature edginess and not because I am a Satanist or intent on making death metal. Though there's nothing wrong with that. I quit music. This is all Phoenix has.
What? Oh my god.
Stoners and freaks and baby boomers that want to play classic rock covers. And
hey, you want to be in my Eagles cover band?
And divorced dads with alcoholic friends and oh,
hey, I wish that one dude would have worked out because he actually was kind of a professional. But
yeah, I know. Yeah,
but I don't know if he would have heard the episode where we talked about his bosses. He might not have been too happy.
Yeah. Oh, hey man, we shit talked your employer.
For a long time.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Cool.
Thanks for indulging my my misery.
This should become like a regular feature of the show where you update us on your adventures in hunting for Craigslist musicians.
I mean, I expected, some shitty responses. It's Craigslist.
Right.
But, man, that one takes the cake. I can't comprehend why someone would send that email.
I hope it was copy and pasted and not you spent that long writing it.
Yeah, he's just sending it to everyone.
Ugh. I mean, yeah, with that song title, you know exactly what kind of punk he's like. Fucking edgelord.
No, yeah, just gross.
Stuck in the 80s musically. But he's got a crazy octave range. That's so weird. Yeah. Or he's a liar.
Yeah, he could be a liar.
Yeah. Oh, well. Now that we got... Alright. We should probably actually get into the show now.
Yeah, let's dive into our actual pod.
Yeah. So, oh, man.
It just lingers, doesn't it?
Yeah. Take a breather.
Yeah.
Take a sip. Alright. So, as you can imagine, there's probably a lot of punk albums listed on Rate Your Music. So, in order to narrow things down, we don't just say punk number generator. We have to pick a year at random first. So, in order to narrow down the field, we plug in the years 1976, the year of the first Ramones album, and now 2019 into a number generator. So this episode, we've wound up with the year 2011. And why is it excluding albums I've already rated? I did not want that.
I remember the year 2011.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a cool year. But you wouldn't think so from the first page of results on the on here. So,
well, maybe. I don't know. It depends on your taste, but yeah.
I guess. The number one album of 2011, according to the Rate Your Music charts, is La Dispute's Wildlife. More like La Dispute.
Yuck.
Yuck. Darling.
Darling?
Ugh.
What a bad band.
A bad band that everybody pretends to like?
Yeah, people loved them.
They're still around, right? Don't they have a new album coming out?
Something like that. Or came out recently in the last year or so. Yeah, I do not get it. I tried.
Yeah.
I have two little asides relating to La Dispute, because what are the chances we're ever actually going to review them?
Yeah.
I tried to book them.
What? I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, it was when I was a promoter that did not consistently have places to book shows, but still tried to do it.
You wanted to find the show before you had a venue.
Well, you had to have bands to book. Otherwise, the venues would be like, okay, well, who are you booking? So, yeah, I had reached out to them, and I tried to get them booked. I asked a lot of different places, and it didn't go anywhere. I also... Katie and I went to Nashville quite a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago or something like that. And while we were there, she got a tattoo.
She got a La Dispute tattoo?
She got a tattoo, and the tattoo artist listened to not this album, but like the one before it, the really big one, like 3 times.
What?
He played it, and then his phone was like messing up, and he couldn't get anything else to play. So he played it again, and then he played it again. And I sat there and watched her get tattooed and listened to La Dispute on repeat.
Oh no! Well, we're definitely going to cover that album because you know it very well at this point.
So weird, but you couldn't say anything because you don't want to tell a tattoo artist to stop listening to their music. Because
don't most tattoo artists, like good tattoo artists, ask you what you want to listen to?
I don't know. It depends. they most tattoo artists just kind of listen to whatever they're listening to, but depending on the shop, I don't know. But yeah, and he also like made a special appointment, like came in and he was like the shop was closed that day, and like he made a special appointment for her to do this tattoo. So
guess you can't complain too much.
Yeah.
Hey bro, do we mind not listening to it a third time?
Silence is okay.
So 2011, this was the year of the pretend screamo bands, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you would like? They're not really screamo bands, but they're influenced by them.
The softest screamo.
Yeah. So it's This Loud Dispute record. There's a Pianos Become the Teeth album.
The Long Lackluster.
Got that right. Touche Amore, Parting the Sea Between the Pea and the Tree. And what was the other one? Oh, and there's like a Defeater album, which they aren't really screamo, but they kind of got like thrown in that weird scene. What else was going on? There was good screamo in 2011 as well. There was that Barrow record and Ampere.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's like Weekend Nachos and
a lot of grind. Like this is where like
Trap Them and
grindy, crusty stuff like Weekend Nachos, Oathbreaker, Young and in the Way, Trap Them, Full of Hell, Worm Rot.
We still got
Rotten Sound.
We still got like the Midwest emo stuff. Your Dear Leap and World Is a Beautiful Place and Hey, remember when speaking of the crust stuff, remember when there were only a handful of people who were like, "Hey, Young and in the Way are pieces of shit." And then they turned out to, and everyone was like, "No, they're great." And then they actually turned out to be pieces of shit.
Yeah. So fun.
Should have listened to us.
Yeah.
The people who knew that they were pulling knives and guns at hardcore shows and threatening to kill people on the internet.
Yeah, 2011 has some, like there was that emo wave. Yeah, it was kind of still going a little strong at this point because there was Crash of Rhinos and Into It Over It and Basement, Balance and Composure. Like it was kind of like
Football, etc.
Yeah, like it was still going strong. I mean, it's still technically going strong now, but these are like some of the big ones that came out back then. Yeah, I guess overall I'd say those are probably the main trends. I guess this reminded me of like the No Sleep, Run for Cover era where they were kind of dominating.
Yeah, it's the No Sleep, the Top Shelf Records.
Yeah.
Count Your Lucky Stars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, as far as like more straightforward punk, I guess there's like Direct Hit and there's some pop punk type stuff.
There's a lot of that. Like, there's a Wonder Years album and Story So Far and Fireworks put out their second album. And yeah, so it takes a little digging, but there is actually some really good stuff on here, though. There's like Good Luck's second album.
There's Napalm Dream by Tenement.
Yeah, I'm actually very shocked that album is like at 98. I think it should be way higher because it's one, they were super like hyped with Predatory Headlights.
Yeah.
So you'd think that would have retroactively bumped this album into the top page, the front page.
You know what I'm also really surprised is to see Into It Over It's 12 Towns not in the top 100.
Well, Proper came out that year too.
Oh, that's true. But people love that band.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, not into it.
There's that Timeshare's Bearable album, which is great. That's kind of in the Latterman style pop punk.
Yeah.
Which was blowing up here, I think.
So did that sound... Do you think that the Latterman Reviver thing maybe steered punk a little away from the... Because I want to say this year is kind of where like the Heartland punk thing kind of like fizzled out. What do you mean? There was that really weak Polar Bear Club record, and there wasn't much else that really took off. I mean, I guess Menzinger's got big around this time frame.
Well, I mean,
and kept
one
going.
of our,
But I don't know. One of our albums. I want to talk about that more once we talk about our album proper. But
yeah, man. Actually, looking at like when you get to page 5, there's some really good stuff on here. Like there's Summer Vacations Condition, which is one of my favorite albums. Capsules No Ghost.
Well, on page 4, there's that last Daniel Striped Tiger record, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. There's Sam I Am Trips, Mountain Man's Grief. Like, there's some really good stuff here. I think we're at the weird point where the more mediocre stuff it's floating to the top due to the amount of people listening to it. So, like, people like us are giving it medium ratings. We're not, like, bombing it or anything. And then the mainstream people are voting it. So it kind of like, it has a popularity, like popularity almost weights its score.
Yeah.
So you have some really good stuff. I bet you probably have some really good stuff going into like even all the way up to 500. And then that's probably when you start to slide in the opposite direction into like the really obscure stuff and the really like not good stuff.
Yeah, there's Puerto Rico's Flowers. There's Former Thieves.
Man, Former Thieves were so good.
Yeah, it's weird that band didn't really get as big as they...
No, because they
were probably doing the best interpretation of what botch.
Yeah, definitely. And at this point, way better than... Yeah, because Norma Jean was already, like, kind of moved away from the botch sound.
Yeah.
By this point. Actually, for a while at this point.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, Former Thieves should have been a bigger thing. And I wonder if they would have if they'd released another album. I don't know that they actually did much besides this one full length and maybe an EP. Yeah, interesting year. I mean, I'd say starting with the year 2007 through 2012 might be like my favorite era of punk rock, personally. I mean, I was in my 20s during that entire run and listening to so much new music from that time period.
Yeah, that was definitely a growing period in terms of musical taste for both of us, I think.
Yeah. I see plenty of things that I like still like to this day, whereas stuff in my early 20s and like teenage years I don't look at positively like I used to. I don't know. Well, I'm ready to get into our albums if you are.
Oh man, that Infrastructure by Ghost Limb record came out. I keep scrolling and yeah, there's just every now and then it definitely doesn't hold up past the 300s like super consistently, but there's something on almost every page that's like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that Aficionado record. Yeah.
And apologies for this. This is a very wandering little section. I think we're hitting a little nostalgia here because that was 7 years ago, and there's a lot of albums on this list that we listened to quite a bit. But
well, yeah, I mean, 2011, I graduated from college in the winter, so
I was still
a young man.
Young man, you could surf the 7 seas.
Yeah. So what's our album for today?
You don't know?
Hola.
We were supposed to listen to them so we could talk about them.
I know. I'm asking you to intro it.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't remember which number it was.
Yeah, got it. So, we got number 170 on the 2011 list for full-length albums, and it is the band Restorations and their album Restorations. alternately known as LP1.
I do like their album title rubric, or whatever you would call it.
Yeah. They're kind of doing the...
LP1, LP2, LP3.
And then what, LP5000?
Did they skip LP4?
I think they did. Yeah, it goes LP1 to LP2, LP3, and LP5000.
Yeah.
Let's get some basics on the band out of the way. So, this album came out on Tiny Engines Records, which we mentioned earlier.
Totally. I always forget this was a Tiny Engines record.
This was when we were listening to a lot of stuff released by Tiny Engines, too. They are from, because they still exist as a band, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The personnel is John Loudon on guitar and vocals, Dave Kleiman on guitar, Ben Pierce on keys and guitar, Mike Drelling on bass, and Carlin Brown on drums. This is who performed on this album. I believe both Mike Drelling and Carlin Brown are gone from the band now and have since been replaced. But
yeah,
John and Dave originally played in a post-hardcore band called Jenna Berlin, which is actually went and listened to that too. And it's got this Small Brown Bike sort of sound to it. And I was like, this is really good. Why did I never hear this band? And the current Restorations drummer, Jeff Myers, was also in that band. He also played in Majoli, the band that I wish sounded more like Bear vs. Shark than they actually do.
Yeah. The band that sounds more like Small Brown Bike.
Yeah. And so, like, this connection, I guess, to this Jenna Berlin band and being on the Restoration, or being in the Philadelphia scene, I always thought it was kind of weird that Restorations were claimed by punks, because it's not really a punk album.
It's one of those, like, punk in spirit.
Yeah.
You know?
Punk in attitude, and the way they play shows, and the people they're friends with, and the labels they work with.
Yeah, the labels they work with, the tours they play, they play fest, they're basically a punk band. And
the scene they came out of. So, yeah. Yeah, and there's... Yeah, you're right. There is, like, the spirit of punk there, even though the songs themselves are... what we have lovingly coined the term boots gaze.
This isn't boots gaze.
You don't think so?
No, that could kind of fit. That's it's like that. It's kind of like a dream poppy indie rock with some twang.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah, I mean it's like a heartland punk.
Yeah, crossed with like post rock, post metal.
Yeah.
Like they did a split with the band Rosetta.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows like they are also of that world. I like to think of them as Gaslight Anthem crossed with Explosions in the Sky.
Yeah, like what was it I was thinking of? There was a comparison I was going to make that I can't remember what it was now.
Like they're like a twangy Castavet.
Yes. Castavet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you said Small Brown Bike, I was like, maybe their previous band being sort of like Small Brown Bike. I'm like, I can see that. This is maybe like their interpretation of Casket Lottery. Yeah, it's got that kind of almost a little Midwest emo. Yeah, it's kind of like...
Mm-hmm. You know, what I really like about this album is actually how hard it is to kind of nail down what they're playing. Because it's a little bit of everything.
It's definitely unique. I mean, that's one of the things I really appreciate about this band. They really don't sound like anyone.
No one band. Like you can get... I was like, oh, this part kind of feels like a Lucero song, but then this part kind of has a little Braid vibe, you know?
There's a little Weaker Thans. There's a little Hot Water Music. There's a little...
Yeah, which is really fun. Like, it maybe make the band a little difficult to market, but...
I do think it's something that has given them some longevity.
Yeah.
You know, they're not living under one band's shadow. So they don't have like a limited appeal insofar as like, you know, how copycat bands always just kind of fizzle out.
Yeah.
They definitely seem to be wanting to take all of their influences and do their own thing, which is what you should do.
Yeah. If I was a true music journalist, I would have actually researched some interviews with the band members to see what bands they were influenced by.
I don't know. I feel like it's all kind of obvious at the same time,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like all the bands that we've mentioned, like if they said that's what their influences are, I don't know. People, I think people really did want to, at least I remember when this album came out, people seemed to really want to immediately lump them in, like really, really strictly with like Polar Bear Club, Gaslight, Menzingers. Like I think people latched on to the Americana Heartland.
Yeah, and I feel like that's if you think about it in a songwriting sense, that's probably like the most dominant like feature. And then once you get into like, well, what effects do we want to use on it? What tones do we want? Then it starts. That's when you're starting to branch into like the post metal, post rock, atmospheric stuff. Like it's fun. It's fun thinking about this band and what they're trying to do, and it works. Everything they're trying to do totally works for me. I think this album kicks off with like 3 real strong bangers, like right off the bat. The opening track is the Non-Locality. Kind of like this sparse, kind of shimmery, it's like mesmerizing. It's got all the, I don't know, like the strong bass note, like the boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boing, boing.
They have really excellent tone. They have a really, really good sense of tone and instrumentation. I love how they use organs.
Yeah.
On like almost everything. They just sound beautiful. They're just eerie and reedy and just, yeah, that's a great sound. I wish more bands used organs. I wish I could find an organ player.
Yeah. And it's funny. And then the very last track on the album is a song called When You're Older. And I think it might have my favorite melodies on the album. It's the most pop sensible track. It's a little faster energy. Like if you played people this song first, it would get people to be like, oh yeah, that's like a punk band that's got a lot of effects. Like that's almost what you would think. The lead singer's voice, you're talking about the heartlandy sort of sound. Like his voice is very similar to Brian Fallon's at this time.
It's interesting. I wanted to say his voice reminded me of like a hoarse Chuck Reagan, like an even more blown out Chuck Reagan voice.
Yeah,
it's just like he's trying to get a lot of grit and gravel in his voice, but it's just like sanded smooth. It's just like nothing's catching in his vocal cords. They're not frying. They're just kind of like wheezing, almost like the Gun-Shy.
Oh yeah. Well, see, with the Gun-Shy, he always distinctly makes me think of Frankie Stubbs from Leatherface.
Yeah, that's true too.
But with this, you just reminded me, like, you remember the band Lock and Key?
Mm-hmm.
Super underrated band. God, nobody talks about that band. But they kind of inhabit that same, like, vocal range, like doing sort of Chuck Reagan-y sort of thing. Yeah.
There's you prompted me to do some Googling of what they specifically say their influences are. And there's a Noisy article titled "Restorations Try to Explain What the Hell They Sound Like." Which, of course, I can't get it to load because nothing on Noisy ever loads for me for some reason.
There's a review here on Rate Your Music, and I think it's in Portuguese, so I want to see what it is translated. Okay, so here's this review. I think it's... What does it say it is? Oh, it's Italian, translated to English. So, let's see. The Rocco and of Fury of the Restorations. Great translate, Google. The U.S. quintet debut is not really among the most digestible products. Among the latest releases that arrive on the other side of the Atlantic. Oh, that's a word that didn't translate. Chitteroni a la Pearl Jam. I'm assuming Chitteroni's a band? With structures and progressions that at times hint at the most rude and indistinctive post-rock.
Rude.
And so far, the whole thing would ultimately be domesticated. It is when the raucous vocals of the singer, son of the wasted emotionality of the Goo Goo Dolls, come on the scene, that everything becomes a little less bearable. If we add the fact that the Restorations kick the hand with choruses and so on, among the only 8 songs, perhaps an unacceptable number given the already disarming paucity of the proposal, we can only save the guitarist curling neighborhood song and little else. Ugh. This person gave the album a 1 out of 5 stars.
What?
What is this guy like? Lorenzo. Wow. He's only given, out of 3,000 albums, he's only given 25 stars. And he's given 671 2.5s.
So he doesn't like anything.
And 600 3.0s. Yeah. What are his... Let's see what his 25... perfect. Oh, the Beatles. Big Star. Bon Iver. Cocteau Twins. Nick Drake. Galaxy 500. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The Smiths. Steely Dan. Talk Talk Television. Okay. Nilsson.
He likes Galaxy 500 and he doesn't like this?
That is
even
weird.
A little bit?
Yeah, I could see that being... a precursor to what they're trying to do with this, like a 20 years earlier almost, but yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of where the Galaxy 500 sound never actually went.
Yeah, it's like it could have gone this way. Yeah, this is an album for gas heads and brown metal pants wearers.
Brown pants metals. Yeah. This is the punk band that ISIS fans will like.
Yeah. You have a Gaslight fan and a Neurosis fan in the room at the same time?
Yeah. This Noisy article, they say, we'll think that we sound like Fugazi, and people will say that, no, we do not sound like Fugazi. People are always saying heavy metal, Bruce Springsteen, all these weird, disparate things.
That's funny. I like when bands don't know what they sound like.
How would you describe Restorations to my mom? This is a good one. For older people, I usually just say we sound like Crazy Horse. Either that or Foo Fighters.
I could see that, though. There is some Neil Young in there. Like, if you think about the Dead Man soundtrack with... Yeah, it's like a Dead Man soundtrack with a punk beat.
Yeah, I mean, even like Rust Never Sleeps a little bit. And yeah, Restorations is a band that... I bought this record. I want to say I bought it in 2011. I really liked it a lot when it came out. I've definitely mellowed on it over the years. It's not something I've revisited a whole lot. You know, there are moments where I feel kind of... I just drift out of focus, and it loses me a little bit.
I do that on the second half of the album.
I think it sounds beautiful when I'm paying attention to it, but...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's because when listening to it, I feel like it takes a little more brain power to enjoy it. If you like CPU almost, like if you're not focusing enough on it, you'll lose it, or you won't. But then if you're like sitting there and like thinking about it as you're listening to it, it's like, oh, this is great. Like, you're consciously aware it's great whenever you're focusing on it.
Yeah. You know, yeah. So they're a band I've always checked out whenever they put out a new record. You know, I usually end up listening to any of their new records at least a couple times.
Yeah, I think LP2 might be my favorite.
Yeah, I want to say I listened to that one a lot. That one snuck up on me. I listened to it a lot more than I thought I did. Like, that year, I probably was making my charts and looked at what I had been listening to, and that one was way up there. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I guess I really liked it.
Yeah, LP2 was probably my favorite, but I even liked LP3, and the one that came out in 2018, LP 5000, was really enjoyable too. Like, that one was kind of their fastest record. Like, it's shorter songs. Like, the album overall is like a little over half an hour. Like, that's very cool. It definitely does not outstay its welcome, which you could with very long songs. You could, you know, you're like, oh, okay, is this thing not over with yet? But they fortunately are aware that their style of music takes a little more effort to listen to, and then you can't wear people out by making an hour and a half long album of it, or they'll give up on it and not finish it. So, I don't know. I really love this out. I don't know. I didn't realize how much I liked Restorations until I started like looking at the albums and being like, oh, that's right. I like this song. Oh, I like this song. I was like, yeah, I listened to it way more than I realized I did.
Yeah, I mean, revisiting this album, it made me want to kind of dig back into them. I want to give LP 5000 a real earnest listen.
Yeah.
because I really only skimmed that one this past year. Yeah, Restorations is is it the direction that, because I want to tie this into that thread of like the heartland punk, like what is it about that sound that a lot of bands don't get right? Like, is it the songwriting? Maybe like people get too fixated on like the sound that they don't get the songs are supposed to be good.
There's actually a whole Kerrang article called Heartland Punk. What's a Heartland Punk? Wait, no. The headline is Punk is where the heart is. And then the subheader is Heartland Punk. What's a Heartland Punk? Whether you call it Orgcore, Heartland Punk, or just think of it as a bunch of bands who listen to way too many Bruce Springsteen records, step right this way. So what do they think?
Is it that too many of those bands are just like trying to do a Gaslight Anthem, and like they don't really listen to Jackson Browne and Tom Petty? And I mean, Springsteen is always the go-to for any band that's in that vein. People always want to be like, it sounds like Springsteen. And I've listened to a lot of Springsteen.
Yeah.
Most of those bands don't really resemble. From a songwriting perspective, the closest you get is maybe like a gruff male vocal.
Yeah. And
because it's interesting, like I don't actually want to compare Restorations to Springsteen.
I don't see it either. I mean, I think vocally might be the only. I don't know, but it's vocally similar to Brian Fallon, and then Brian Fallon is similar to Springsteen, but then the music they're playing doesn't sound like Springsteen or any of his bands. I'm looking at this article, and it's talking about a lot of different things, and I don't know that I think these all should count. Like, so they mentioned the Messengers, which I get that. Yeah, that's accurate. I'm not a Messengers fan. I've seen them live a couple times. Doesn't work for me. Yeah. They mention an Against Me song off of White Crosses called Because of the Shame. I'm not super familiar with that. They got Social D on here. And maybe that's what it is. It's more actually a Social Distortion influence. Because he's already got the punk, cred in there. There's some replacements in there. This mentions Lucero, which I get. That's the country version of this. The alt country punk version of this. Hot Water Music, 59 Sound. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's a sound that I very much enjoy when it's done well. Like, I think Timeshares are probably one of the best ones doing it right now. They put out 2 EPs in 2018 that were incredible. And I'm hoping that means they have an album coming out soon, but yeah, there's something comforting about Heartland type.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, major chords, it's warm tones, and
God, we've already got an hour and we still haven't even talked about our EP yet.
I don't know. It's a mystery. It's the exact formula that makes a Heartland punk band work is hard to narrow down. I feel like there are more misses than hits. So
yeah. Well, I consider this one a hit.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
Maybe about a 4.5. I feel like it does get a little too lost in space.
Yeah. And I'd agree. I'd give it I'd give it a 4.5 as well. Yeah. Out of 5. Yeah, that's where I would rate it. If there were maybe just a couple more hooks, maybe it would tip it to 5, I'm sure.
And just a little faster.
Yeah.
Just up the tempo a little bit more.
Yeah, not even much. I mean, just a little. Just to edge it. Like, I bet you probably don't remember the last track on the album, but whenever we're done with this, you should go listen to that last track, because I feel like if that was the whole album, this would be a 5-star classic.
Yeah, I'd have to go listen to it again. I'm drawing a blank.
It's at the end of the album, so it makes it a little hard to remember exactly what it sounds like. But well, since we've gone so long, let's go ahead and hop into our EPs, because this might get lengthy as well. So we got number 216 on the EP list, And this is a punklottopod first. This is our first split release to make the episodes. This is Spraynard and Sundials split 7-inch. I don't know what else you would even call it because it doesn't have a title because it's a split 7-inch.
Okay, but what's his face?
It was released on Evil Weevil Records, and I was like, who is Evil Weevil Records? But they actually put out a lot of stuff. They put out the first Level Up album, Space Brothers. They've done Captain We're Sinking, The Holy Mess, Into It Over It, Bob Nana Split. Like, they've done a lot of good stuff. Spraynard are a Westchester, Pennsylvania band made up of Pat Graham, Pat Ware, aka Dose, and Mark Dickinson. Pat Graham has also played in Big Nothing and the band Martin, and he has a little solo EP or demo called Under the Name Adult Braces. Pat Ware played in Nona, and I just found this out, started playing in Joyce Manor last year. I was like, well, that's weird. He's on the new album.
You ever encounter anyone who says it Joyce Manor?
What? No.
Yeah.
It's Manor. That's the word.
Joyce Manor.
Joyce Maynard Keen.
The guy from Tool.
Yeah.
He lives in Arizona and has his own wine vineyards.
Cool. He's also a rapist. So.
Ooh, yeah.
So the other band on the B-side is Sundials from Richmond, Virginia. I don't know how to do this. And they're made up of Harris Mendel, Carl Athey, and Corey Chubb. And then later they added a fourth member named Chris, and I'm blanking on his last name, but he played in Springtime and Family Cat. And,
Chris Korean?
Yeah. He was in a lot of really good Richmond bands. And then even the other guys in Sundials were in other good bands. Harris was in Hold Tight before he did Sundials. He had a solo thing called Horn and Tusk, too. Corey Chubb is in Bat Boy and Smoke Break and Close Talker, and he's even got a new band called Neat Sweep. And
so this is a Philly versus Richmond split.
That's true. It is. You know, it's funny. Spraynard are from Philadelphia, but they've never really felt like the rest of the Philly bands. I mean, I guess it's because they're from Westchester, and I think, isn't that closer to New York than it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Than Philly itself.
Yeah, give me Richmond over Philly.
Yeah, I would take it too. Just about every time. Richmond's a little more diverse than Philly's punk scene.
Yeah,
and Richmond's is a little more underrated too. And it works on this EP too, because I definitely like the Sundial side more than the Spraynard side.
Yeah, I mean, I was always more into Sundials than Spraynard anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Spraynard have good albums. Actually, they have one really, really good album with Fun titled. But then, like, Cut and Paste is good, but nothing amazing. And the last album, I think it was called Mabel, was good, but like I said, nothing amazing. Spraynard are the premier Latterman knockoff band. Like, they are the ones who sound the most like Latterman that aren't Iron Sheik and Reviver. And they were the most successful, too, doing it. You know, for every Spraynard, there was also, Thousand Dares. I'm trying to think of all the entire Dead Broke catalog from 2012.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this EP came out in February of 2011, which was actually before Fun Titled. So it has the cut and paste sound. It's a little darker. Pat's voice is a little gruffer, and then on Fun Titled they went like a little poppier. And then on the Sundials side, these were actually B-sides from the Never Settle recording session, which was their first full length. And it came out before their second album. What was it called? When I Learned to Breathe.
Yeah, this the Sundials stuff, their side of it, of this EP. What am I saying?
The Sundial side of the Sundial side.
It's still got that kind of like early Alkaline Trio sound.
As the flakes made their way to the ground. Will you be making your way to New York? I'm not so sure about your flight. The city's gonna stop. I wanna get drunk and go sledding, build a fire, throw a snowball at a cop, alright. But it only ever snows on the weekends. See, we're all in a frenzy to find that special place. Do you have it in mind? Are you staying in Richmond? Or are you leaving? By tomorrow there'll be no way out. Where will I strand
Is that
myself?
what they sound like? For the longest time, I've never ever been able to pinpoint exactly who Sundials.
Well, they're named after an Alkaline Trio song.
They are, and they did their compilation album is the cover is a takeoff of the Alkaline Trio compilation album. But I don't think you think they sound like Alkaline Trio?
Musically. Early Alkaline Trio musically. Different vocals.
Really?
But yeah, I really feel like it's got that kind of like rattly, jangly punk.
Yeah, like the guitar tones aren't too harsh. They're real bright sounding. I love Sundials. We've seen them live quite a few times, I think. Mostly at Fest, but then I remember seeing them in Greensboro. I wonder, did I see them in Asheville as well? I may have.
Yeah, I only remember seeing them at Fest and in Greensboro.
Yeah.
They have the I have that Sundials t-shirt. It's got like, it says Sundials in like the Simpsons font, and it's got the picture of Mr. Burns, like from the Who Shot Mr. Burns, laying on the sundial in town.
Yeah.
So I heard some kid say one time, sundials are a good way to tell time. He saw me wearing that shirt. Like, yep.
I have a Sundial shirt as well. I have the one where the guy, like the astronaut looking dude's on the motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely bought that in Nashville. So I definitely have seen them probably 4, maybe 5 times. They're so good. It's funny. Our friend and I were talking about them one time, and we were like, Sundials are a band you don't realize you know the words to half the songs until you're seeing them live.
Yeah.
They have this, like, you don't think you know all the words to all the songs, but once you're like right in front of them and you're listening to them, like, oh right, I do know all these. Like, they're super catchy, they're super melodic, they just have fun. Like, I love Sundials a lot. And then I also loved Spraynard. So I bought this 7-inch out of a distro probably the year after it came out. So this is like one of the ones I actually have a physical copy of. And if I remember correctly, the two Sundial songs are some of the strongest singles tracks that they had, which is weird to think. I know their singles so well, their splits so well that I know what the better songs are. But yeah, this is probably my favorite 2 songs on a split that they released. And the Spraynard songs are really good too, but they're more in the cut and paste style, so they don't quite jump out to me as much.
Yeah, they're a little rougher. They're not my favorite on this EP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sundials is a band that I wish had gotten as popular as Spraynard.
Yeah, and you thought they were gonna go that direction too, because that 10-inch on Top Shelf, didn't it do very well? Like Kick. I remember people talked about it a lot, and even their second full length came out on Asian Man Records. So like, I don't know. I wish they would have blown up a little more.
Yeah, I think they just broke up.
They're one of those bands that just stopped. Like they never officially announced they broke up. I think Harris moved to Boston though, while the rest of the guys were in Richmond. Chris played in the band Veery, and Chris had this happen to a million of his bands. They just ceased to be. I'm still waiting for that Tiger Tails album that they supposedly recorded. But Corey seems to stay super busy too. And every time I turn around, he's in another band, like Bat Boy and Smoke Break, and Close Talker, and they all have that same vibe too of Sundials. And it's like, I wish one of these would really break out.
Yeah. Well, this episode's gone a little long. I guess we had a lot of stories and a lot of rambling,
Well, what would you give the EP?
How about 4.25?
Yeah, 4.25 is where I stand on it too. This came out in a time period where I was, anytime like a bunch of EPs would come out, I would download them and then put them all on a burn CD together. So this was one of the ones that I had with probably 7 other EPs. Those are always fun to listen to, and I listen to them a lot. Yeah, I just love this little time period of punk. It's definitely, it might not be the best era of punk ever, but it's the one that means a lot to me. Well, cool. So, next week, we've got another gimmick episode. No, we don't. We're staying on format 2 weeks in a row, and we're going to discuss the year 1982, and the album is number 66 on that chart, and it is Circle Jerks, Wild in the Streets, and the EP is number 26, Articles of Faith, What We Want Is Free. 2 little hardcore legends of the 80s. So, as always, please continue to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at punklottopod. We have an email, punklottopod@gmail.com. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. So, rate, review, and subscribe. Is there anything else?
I think that covers it.
Alrighty then. We should probably include that scene of Mr. Burns falling over the sundial.
Yeah.
It's the audio clip. Alright. Well, we'll see you later.
Cue the clip.
I'm stopping recording.
They gave up and collapsed on the sundial.
Then, with your last ounce of strength, you pointed to W and S. Or, from your point of view, M and S. Maggie Simpson.
What? No. With my last ounce of strength, I sucked out my cold fillings and swallowed them. Those paramedics have sticky fingers.